Hello everyone and welcome back to Spirit School. I'm very excited. It is the November energies forecast. Again, how I like to do the forecast is I just set the intention before I start recording. I don't prepare anything and I just channel what is coming through. It used to be so nerve-wracking doing these. I used to hate posting them. I would honestly cringe and just want to delete them right away. But the feedback that I've received for these has been pretty phenomenal and it has been hitting home and resonating with many. So I am just going to continue doing them the way that I know how to do them, which is just by surrendering and opening up to spirit and just kind of seeing what happens. So a couple things that I don't need to channel, which I can talk about just off the bat, is of course we are in a Mercury retrograde moment until I believe it's the 20th of November. Don't hold me to that date. I'm just kind of throwing that out there because there's also the Chiron retrograde, which ends in November as well. And November 20th is also sticking out for that. But I don't want to go too deep into Mercury retrograde. There is now a book on it. The woman that I love, Yasmin Boland, who does the Moonology book and the Moonology daily moon journal diary, which is amazing. Everybody should get it if you're interested at all in understanding how you live in natural rhythm to Grandmother Moon. She just released a book, where she's taken pre-orders for the book on Mercury retrogrades and surviving Mercury retrogrades. But really, we just kind of know it brings up exes, it brings up miscommunications, it brings up us looking closer to our communication styles and how we want to show up in the world and how we want the world to see us, and of course, technology issues. Nothing to freak out about. Retrogrades happen all the time with all the planets. And then, of course, the Chiron retrograde, which I love writing about. This is the second year in a row I've written about Chiron retrograde. Of course, Chiron is an asteroid, which is known as the Wounded Healer asteroid. So when this little comet goes into a retrograde, we have the gift of allowing past wounds to surface, whether they're this life or past life, to kind of be dealt with in a very nurturing and cosmic space. So I know for myself, when this retrograde started earlier this year, I kind of just set the intention yes, let's do more work. Let's do more work. I have been doing so much work these past few years. Ever since I told Spirit, I am ready to fully devote and dedicate to the spiritual path. So that is when the uglies come up. That's when the work comes up. That's when Spirit's like, okay, she's ready. Let's do this. So Chiron retrograde is just another one of those opportunities to look deeper at your wounds and where it comes up in your life. And for me, it comes up in relationships. Chiron sits in my 7th house of relationships. So you might want to look up your chart. Not all sites that give you free astrology birth charts have Chiron, so you might want to look that up, Chiron, and look that one up. Then we have the full moon in Taurus, which is happening on November 12th at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's going to be a really good time to release those really stubborn belief systems. And I know I repeat this every month, but look, the new moon and full moon, they're kind of opportunities to release, forgive, wish and intention set. But when it comes to Taurus energy, it's that stubbornness. It's those really pesky internal dialogues and belief systems that you continue to carry, even though you know better, even though every time you think about it, you call yourself out on it. It's time now to release those. And that's what this full moon is going to be about on November 12th. Let's get down and dirty with it because we're also in Scorpio season. And Scorpio season started, almost 2 weeks ago now. This is the time where the deepest of the deep is revealed. This is where we look much deeper at ourselves, at our shadow, at our wounds, and we go deeper than ever before. And I don't know about any of you guys, but since Scorpio season has started, I have had hourly epiphanies. Hourly. I have had so much breakthroughs happening. It's incredible, more so than any other time of the year. So I'm hoping other people are also experiencing this. Of course, there's always going to be an opportunity to say, yeah, my life has been a great crazy. My life has been a bit shit. But let's look at what positive is happening. And this is kind of leading into Sagittarius season at the end of the month, because say what you will about Sagittarius, it is my favorite sign. I think of optimism. I think of like transformation and spirituality. I think amazing things about Sagittarius. So this is kind of like the vibes I'm feeling, like, yes, let's get dirty. Let's get down. Let's get clear. Let's get deep in this Scorpio energy. And then when it comes time to Sagittarius season coming in at near the end of the month, this is a time to freaking like celebrate, let the windows open, let the fresh air in, let that spiritual transcension, or I can't say that word right now. You know, it's a very spiritual sign. It's really that leveling up. So if you do this work during Scorpio season, the Sagittarius season will bring you that level up. So don't shy away from the work. Okay. You got Chiron again, you got Scorpio season here. Like, let's get down about this. I'm really excited about it because, again, I mean, I'm driving most of the time when I get my epiphanies, and I just like have my headset in. I'm like, hey, make a note. And I have all these different ideas coming up about like, this is why I do this. This is why I say these things to myself. This is the exact source and root cause of it. And when you can identify those root causes and identify those sources, that kind of can help move that energy around. It may take a lot of times. Like when you identify the source of a trigger, it may need to come up a handful or even a dozen times before you can actually start to move past it. It's kind of sucky, but it's kind of the way it works. So don't think that you're going to have like one epiphany and realization and think that things fully move. They do come up again, but you'll notice, you'll be proud of yourself. You'll be like, wow, okay, I didn't get so affected this time by that. Hope that makes sense. So the new moon in Sagittarius happens on November 26th at 7 a.m. And again, this is where we would be looking at, you know, our travel or adventure, our higher consciousness, our life philosophies, our teachings, our learnings. Sagittarius, again, I'm a moon Sagittarius, so maybe that's why I feel so connected to Sagittarius energy, but it's just so positive, and as a really kind of like deep and tortured Virgo and Scorpio rising, Virgo sun and Scorpio rising, I'm like, oh, I'm just so grateful for my Sagittarius moon. Honestly. So that's kind of like the stuff that's coming up cosmically this month. Again, one of the things when I was thinking for the past hour, like, oh, okay, I want to do my podcast. I'm a day late, of course. That's the way life rolls sometimes. But I kept thinking about how many epiphanies I'm having. Wow, this is really a month and really a time for some clarity, some real clarity. Like I feel like people have been dreaming all year. People have had such big dreams, but they can't quite get their claws in it. They can't quite get their fingers in it. They just have like this dream that's like a mirage, and it's so close. You can smell it, you can taste it, you just can't touch it. And so this month of November is really going to start, you know, having this dream become a tangibility. It's going to be closer to you. You're going to be able to feel it. You're going to be able to touch it. You're going to be able to know exactly what to do with it. So look for that energy, especially for all my spiritual entrepreneurs out there, all the people who, you know, are starting to dabble into their spirituality and their spiritual growth. Especially those who want to kind of make it into a business of some kind. Okay, so what do we have coming up? Again, the first thing that comes up around this is around taking a leap, around taking chances and taking risks. So if there are certain areas where you have been playing really, really safe, I'm leaning definitely towards relationships and careers here. I'm getting a little bit of both of those. Spirit is wanting you to take a leap. And the saying around this, you know, the universe will catch you. If you knew you would be caught, what would you do? If you knew that the universe would support you, what would you be doing with your life right now, whether that's relationship or career? Spirit is really encouraging us this month to start taking some leaps of faith, being bold around this energy. There's also some mother energy that comes in this month. So I feel like a lot of us are actually carrying a lot of the wounds of our mothers, a lot of the belief systems of our mothers. You know, I love my mom. She's my best friend, but for sure I carry a lot of her fears of what people think of me. She was always very concerned about, you know, outside perceptions of what's going on inside. And I carry a little bit of that, even though that doesn't necessarily stand true to my life. I definitely definitely feel the energy lingering in on my life. So you should look at that and some of the hangups that you have. Again, we're talking about these dreams that you see and you can taste and you can smell, but you can't touch. Is that last step, is that last action step actually a fear that is not yours to carry? Is that actually a fear that you bring in from the womb, from the mother energy? And don't be afraid to have a conversation with your mom around this. Be like, Mom, would you consider yourself to be, playing it safe sometimes and not pursuing your dreams? And she might say, yes, actually, because XXXX. And then see how this sits within your soul, and just talking about it and moving that energy, if you have the opportunity, will help bring some extra clarity as well. Another thing as we head into the winter months that's coming up right now is around really creating heaven on earth. So I'm being brought into people's homes, into people's sacred spaces, into people's bedrooms. And I'm seeing a refresh being done. And I think this came up a couple months ago too, but what I'm seeing is like a lot of white. And I'm seeing like a lot of like high vibe and bright things being brought into people's physical spaces. And I feel like this is because, especially in the Northern Hemisphere where I am in Canada, days are short. Like that sun goes behind that mountain at 4, and at the darkest time of the month, it goes behind the mountain at 2:15 p.m. Like that's scary. So really, Spirit's like, yes, let's create our own heaven on earth, because we're about to enter the winter times, these kind of like darker times, not metaphorically, but like physically darker. I think things are actually going to be getting a lot lighter, energetically, not darker, but really kind of transforming whatever spaces you look at the most, and making them a little bit brighter on the eyes, because I feel like it's just going to be lifting people's hearts. So do look at that. I feel like some of you have been looking around on your space and like wanting change, but not really knowing where to go with it. So get Pinteresting, start looking around at this kind of stuff. So something else that comes up, and it's around dreaming. It's around really realizing what you want out of this life. This is like a birthing of the new age. And funny, because Scorpio, from what I know and what I recall, again, I've only been studying astrology for 3 years, and I have no memory at all. So I'm one of those people who, if I did ever study astrology and offer astrology readings, I would have to look at books, because my memory is shocking. But one thing I do know about Scorpio energy is it's known for transformation. And so that's kind of what's coming up with this message, is around don't be afraid to transform and birth this new idea, and birth this new experience, and birth this new relationship. Relationships is coming up a lot too with career. So isn't that funny? I wonder, people are going to be hooking up with their colleagues or something. But yeah. Interesting that comes up. So another thing that comes up around the same theme of messages is kind of a message from Spirit letting you know that you're already kind of doing it. You're already on the path. Again, I feel very much like people are, if you were to look at like a bridge with a big arch, like you're on the downward side, like you've overcome this hump, and now it's kind of like the cruisy downslope into, wherever it is that you're going. But you need to know that you're already doing it. You need to know that you're already taking those steps towards realizing your biggest dreams and your biggest potentials. So maybe stop. Here's something that's coming in. Maybe stop like reading so many books. Maybe stop listening to so many podcasts and like listening to so much advice, because I feel like some people are getting like really overwhelmed with, I'm putting in air quotes, expertise advice. And so I feel like some people like kind of are confused because they're listening to so many different sources, and Spirit kind of wants you to take some deep breaths and settle into your seat and really kind of get the wisdom from your heart a little bit more, because we can have like information overload this day and age. And I feel like that's coming up for a lot of you. I think a lot of people are going to be resonating with that. Even me, I've always had a hard time accepting money for my gifts. And I mean, I'm about to raise my prices again for the first time in 18 months, because raising your prices is a very uncomfortable exercise and experience. And there's a lot of guilt that comes with it. And there's a lot of, I think this is part of being a healer. There was a lot of beliefs before where you shouldn't be paid for this kind of work. It's God's work. And of course God wants us to be all taken care of as well. And so, it kind of comes up, and I've been trying to listen to some like money mindset stuff because I need to start feeling comfortable receiving, and it's never been a comfortable thing for me. So, this is how this message is kind of coming through. Spirit's kind of saying, okay, the answer, you're already doing it, you're already on your way. Maybe stop like muddying the channels by just, not listening to so much stuff. I want you to listen to music, actually. I want you to listen to music. That's what I'm hearing. I want you to listen to more music because that's really going to spark your creative center. They're showing me the sacral, solar plexus, and heart. Whereas when you're listening to all this information, it's igniting the mind, and it's kind of like taking you away from your heart. You don't want to be in your mind in this space, okay? So I hope that helps some people out there for sure. What else am I going to do? And then the final thing that kind of comes up around this is trusting your intuition. And this has actually been on my mind all day. So this is funny that this comes up because, I'm working with students, and I'm about to close off the most recent development circle tomorrow from this, I've been doing these development circles for over 3 years. And this is when I asked Spirit, I'm like, what do you want me to say to all these beautiful souls tomorrow? And I kept hearing, you need to ask them why they want to develop their intuition and what is holding them back. What is holding them back from achieving their why and kind of honoring their why. And it's really around not really trusting our intuition. So Spirit's really telling us this month in November, just trust the damn intuition. Just trust those niggles. Just trust those nudges. Just trust that you are fully supported. Spirit wouldn't have even made you aware of your intuition at this level if you didn't have it, okay? And this is what I mean. Everyone is born with intuition. Even the most heinous people on earth having this earthly experience have intuition and have the same abilities we all have. But not everyone is meant to awaken to this curiosity around developing their intuition. So just the fact that you are drawn to a podcast like this, and just the fact that you are drawn to expanding your soul and expanding your consciousness, is a surefire sign that Spirit is telling you that you have the intuition that you desire. And you just really need to relax and surrender into it and sink into it so that you can hear the intuition and so that you can gain that evidence and start testing it so that you can gain confidence with it. As I feel like a lot of people, again, this goes back to the information overload stuff, is relying on a lot of other people to kind of tell you what to do. I think that's part of the information overload. It's kind of like walking around just saying, just tell me what to do. I don't want to have to make this decision. And I know some friends listening to this right now will probably laugh at me because I've been going through a lot of this for the past year. But this is kind of what's coming up in this month. It's a lot about intuition. It's a lot about doing this deep-seated work. This is about allowing those epiphanies to come forward and kind of think on them when they come. If you have the time and space, and if you're not like me and forget everything 2 minutes later, like actually sit on the epiphany that comes up and see how it feels on your body. See if you can close your eyes and see if a memory pops up from childhood that could be also part of the origin story. Here's an example. This is the example that's coming to me. So I am kind of a scaredy cat. Most people wouldn't think that because I have a podcast and I have hundreds of downloads a day now. So I know that, people are listening to me by the thousands every month. And that's a kind of a scary thing. I mean, a year ago it was a lot scarier. And now I feel like Spirit's really kind of encouraging me to start speaking in front of audiences and start doing more things with groups. Like I always have my intuitive development circles, which are about 10 or under. But Spirit wants me, I've seen it, I've had the vision of it standing in front of 50 people, even 500 people doing what I do, which is my mediumship and I guess I would just call it inspired speaking, much like I'm doing right now. Nothing scripted, nothing planned. I'm just like purely channeling. But I have been receiving this calling from Spirit for over 2 years. 2 years ago, I reached out to one of my favorite clients and I said to her, look, I want to try to do a group reading, and can I practice with you and your friends? Would you be willing to do that and just do it by donation, just for the energy exchange and kind of be my guinea pigs? And she was like, yes, yes, yes. it's been 2 years and I've never written her back, okay? Like, there is something around being seen and being that vulnerable in front of groups that like cripples me. And so I've been working with coaches and I've been working with therapists and I've been working with, mindset people. I'm like, why can't I take this next step? Like, it's so logical, but there's something deep inside of me that just holds me back. Well, lo and behold, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I get really emotional just thinking about this. I had a memory flash to me and it was so vivid. I was literally living the experience again. And I was 6 years old and I was at our daycare and there was some event that was happening. We were in our lunchroom and all the parents were there and it's like we were like doing a show or something. And me and two friends, I even remember who these two friends were, we went to the back room and decided to make a play, and we're all three puppies and we had to go perform this play in front of all the parents. Well, just before we went on stage, I jammed on these girls. I said, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it, guys. I'm so sorry. And I went and sat on my mom's lap and I watched these girls play out. And they were so upset with me. And I'm sure I can only imagine how my mom felt. And I kind of got a chance to relive this moment what Spirit was showing me, because this was my source, okay? This was the source of my fear, because I chickened out at that very moment. But if I had gone through that experience as a child and I had committed to that commitment to my two friends at the time, and when we finished, there was a standing ovation and an applause, and I felt supported in that moment, my life would have been so different. And that's what Spirit often says, is you can't F this up. You can't make a wrong decision. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be today, whether I had that experience or not. But now I'm kind of carrying this little wound with me, and I'm going to have to live out that experience now in my 30s instead of when I was 6. And, this is what I mean by those epiphanies. I've been really thinking about it. I've been sitting on it. I'm like, Spirit, why is this crippling to me? Why is this crippling to me, being seen in such large audiences? Then I was gifted that experience of reliving that moment, and I was totally awake. It was a really trippy experience, but this is how intuition works. And I bet you half the people listening here will be like, yeah, that's happened to me too. And yeah, because we're intuitive beings by nature. So this is what I mean by going deeper with a trigger, going deeper into soul questing, not just like, I wonder about that, and then kind of leave it alone. Go deeper. Things will be revealed to you. Breakthroughs will be happening. I am vowing within the next 4 months, I am going to do a large workshop or a demonstration of mediumship in person with at least 40 people. Okay, you can hold me to this and be accountable, because it's about time I kind of freaking get out there, okay? So this is just a lived example. I know me as a teacher and as a student, I love it when my teachers share their personal experiences, because you can resonate with it a lot more than just being talked at. So that's why I share this experience, because I trust you'll feel it in your heart, and I trust you'll be able to kind of think of your own experience that's kind of happening right now, and hopefully that inspires you to go a little bit deeper. So that is it for November. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope it uplifted you. And I hope that you are liking this podcast. And if you are, if you could rate it, that would be amazing. If you could review it, even better, because I think I only have like 3 reviews right now, which is super cool, super fine. Everyone's busy, but it's kind of neat to see that people are liking it. So if you have a moment and could do that, that'd be awesome. Nothing left really for 2020, to be honest with you. I'm fully booked out of mentorship now, as well as readings. But there's going to be a lot more coming early 2020. There's going to be a lot more availability for intuitive coaching, which is something I just started offering. And there's going to be a lot more space for readings and a lot more space for intuitive development. I have a new in-person circle starting in February on Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. More info on my website. It's already half full, but if there's enough interest, I will open 2 circles. And I'm also going to be launching some new stuff on the website in the next few months, so keep a lookout for that. So nothing but exciting things coming. I'm not trying to sell you anything, because I have nothing to offer right now. but I feel like I have this platform. I should probably talk about a little bit what I do, right? So that's it for now. Have a good November. I interviewed yesterday Tina Conroy, who's a phenomenal psychic medium and Reiki master. She has the Intuitive Women podcast, which is like huge compared to mine. And she was interviewed on my podcast yesterday, so I'll be posting that next week. And then I have 2 creative spirits coming up. I have my, one of my best friends, Christy, the intuitive marketer. She's going to be coming on, and she's really been a catalyst for me putting myself out there on Instagram. I completely accredit my Instagram, and we put in air quote success because it's not huge success, but it's success for me, to her guidance and her wisdom and her support. And then I also have another collective, consciousness collective, soul sister, Bewitched Creative from Australia. She's going to be coming on in a couple of weeks as well, to talk about toxic relationships and toxic workplaces. So I'm really excited to have both these beautiful souls coming up. So lots more to come. Have a good one.